We're going to begin this hour with Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. And Senator, first of all, welcome. Second of all, your visit comes on a day we've got some breaking news, some genuine breaking news from Kyiv, where President Biden met with Ukrainian President Zelensky this morning. It was Mr. Biden's first visit to Ukraine since the Russian invasion nearly a year ago. And this week, also, Senator Sanders is out with a new book. It's called It's Okay to Be Angry About Capitalism. Senator, good morning to you. Because of the Ukraine news, before we get to the book, I want to ask about the situation in Ukraine. We're sending a lot of money there at the moment, money generated by our capitalist system. So there is a connection, I suppose. What needs to happen going forward with U.S. policy toward Ukraine?
Well, I'm glad the president is in Ukraine. What Putin did is outrageous. It is the worst conflict in Europe since World War II. And I think it is important for the United States, NATO, our allies, to tell Putin he's not going to be able to get away with it. And I support what the president is doing.
You support what the president is doing. All right, let's talk about the book. It's okay to be angry about capitalism. Why did you think now was the time for this message? And why okay? It seems like you feel that there's a degree of resistance to the idea of any criticism of the golden goose.
Look, Tony, this country faces enormous crises. And it's important that we have a serious discussion about those crises. Economically, what's going on in America? Simple reality is the people on top, the billionaire class, are doing phenomenally well. Meanwhile, the middle class continues to shrink. And in the richest country in the history of the world, today, over 60% of the American people are living paycheck to paycheck. Virtually every city in this country has a major housing crisis. We are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. We spend twice as much per capita. Meanwhile, drug companies making billions. The insurance companies making billions. The gap between the rich and everybody else growing wider. We don't talk about those issues. Let's lay it on the table. Let's have that debate.
You talk about those issues. You lay them out very well here in the book. And you say things that we had heard from you on the campaign trail many years ago. But I think what the American people struggle with is how do you change a system that appears to be broken in so many ways?
Okay, well, let's put it, that's a good question. And the answer is this system is working very, very well. For the people who own this network, for the billionaire class. We are involved in class warfare. People on top are doing great. So it's not hard to come up with the idea. You want health care for all? Duh. Every major country on earth is doing. I live 50 miles away from Canada. You have leukemia. You're in the hospital for a month. You know what your bill is when you get out? Zero. As a nation that's spending half what we spend per capita.
So you look at taxing billionaires for an example, but what other solutions are you offering?
Well, in terms of health care, look, just think for a moment. If everybody in America today said, you know what, when I'm sick, my kid is sick, I go to the doctor, I don't have to worry about the bill. All right, you know what that would mean to the health of this country? If people did not have to worry about sending their kids to college and what it would cost them. If people didn't see their housing costs. We are the richest country in the history of the world. We should be discussing is, why don't we have health care for all? Why isn't college education, at least public colleges and universities, tuition free? Why do we have a gap? Do you think, does anybody think, America, 3 people own more wealth than the bottom half of American society? Anyone think that's appropriate? Let's talk about it. What do we do about it?
And you're saying that the system is working the way it's intended to work.
Exactly. It's working great for the billionaire class.
No doubt about it. Now, you introduced a bill last week with Senator Warren that would not only extend Social Security, but increase benefits. Right. Now, do you believe that by taxing wealthier Americans that you could get some bipartisan support on this bill?
We'll see. But when we talk about the problems of America and why we're not solving them, please don't forget that this political system is corrupt as well. All right? So if you are a member of Congress and you were put into power by some super PAC owned by a billionaire, you think the first thing you're going to do is say, well, I think billionaires should pay their fair share of taxes. I doubt it. So you got a corrupt political system. I know that sounds harsh. But if super PACs can spend unlimited sums of money to beat you, is that corrupt? I think it is.
One of your proposals in here is actually to rewrite parts of the Constitution to make changes. But, the guy at home right now, even the guy who's not doing well sitting at home might be saying, yeah, but you're acknowledging that this system we have has created more wealth than any country has ever had in the history of the world, tremendous innovation, things you acknowledge in the book. And now you're talking about changing that? I get, or tweaking it.
Tony, it has created enormous wealth for the people on top. You tell me, in this great nation, I grew up in a family that struggled economically. We lived paycheck to paycheck. Why Today, in 2023, over 60% of the people living paycheck to paycheck. Why? Let's talk about where we want to go. And I'll tell you something else that's happening. With all of the artificial intelligence, the robotics are out there. Who's making those decisions, whether you're going to have a job or not have a job? Are working people involved in that? So all that I'm saying in this book, in that this age, with all of the technology out there, all the wisdom out there, let's create an economy that works for all, not just a few.
I want to ask a question about Jimmy Carter here, but on AI, it is current tax policy in this country that if companies buy an AI system, it's a capital investment, even if it lays off workers, they get a tax benefit.
You're right.
Encouraged by the system. I imagine you would want to change that. But
We would.
You're saying tax robots?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Jimmy Carter, just a core of decency and modesty. Didn't serve on corporate boards, went back to his hometown, didn't go to live in some giant mansion, didn't give high-powered speeches worth a lot of money. Regular guy, not a quote normal guy, seemed like a regular guy in real life. Your most memorable encounter with him, if you could, sir.
Everything you said is true. I mean, he was a good president. I think what people will remember him for is what he did after the presidency. He didn't capitalize on being president. He got on boards. He didn't make a whole lot of money. I think he still lives today in the home that he grew up in Plains, Georgia. I had the opportunity to meet him several times. Decency is the word. He is his family is very decent, down-to-earth, ordinary people. I was with him a number of years ago at the Carter Center, which does really, really good work, among other things, making sure that elections held around the world are done democratically and fairly. So he has lived out his post-presidential years with a lot of dignity. We should all be proud of what he has accomplished.
All right, Senator Sanders, I see your wife Jane over there. Did you give her a text or anything on Valentine's Day?
I have no comment on that, actually. It's classified.
I'm going to try to catch Jane's eye over there. We'll talk about that in the break. Senator Sanders, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. The book is It's Okay to Be Angry About Capitalism, and it goes on sale tomorrow. And you can see more of Senator Sanders tonight on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. That will be a very good conversation.
Oh, that's going to be good. I'm going to tune in for that.